Welcome to the Enlighten Up podcast, where I am going to take you into a deep exploration of what it means to exist in this current reality. We are going to raise your vibes, open your mind, expand your heart, and dive deep into the wondrous mysteries and possibilities of this lifetime. There's been a spiritual catalyst that has set in motion the awakening process of many across the globe to return to the knowingness of self and unite what has been separated. Together, we're going to bring light into that darkness. We're going to remember the joy of living. But most of all, we're going to turn up the volume of our own eternal power and do the thing we're here to do. Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of the Enlighten Up podcast. We've got a great show for you today because we're going to be talking about that full moon in Libra happening on the 5th or 6th, depending on where you are in the world. And I'm going to bring Mary Dusina on in just momentarily, but I wanted to remind all of you that the Forbidden Journey group coaching program is now accepting applications. And if you're interested in experiencing a very deep exploration of what your purpose is, where your hidden strengths and talents are, and really utilizing what you thought were maybe your darker areas of who you are, can actually come out and show you your greatest strengths. This is where you find the gems hidden in the dirt, the mud, deep, deep, deep below the surface where you thought you could leave it all buried. We're going to explore all of that and unmask who you really are and showcase how what you thought may have been your downfall could ultimately be your highest potential. It's a 4-month exploration. If you're interested, the links are in the show notes before. I'd love to see you in the Forbidden Journey coaching program. And of course, coming soon, I will announce the fall retreat here in Colorado and the one-to-one programs and the exclusive Forbidden Journey program. I'll be launching those soon. If you want more information, everything is on my website. And again, the link is in the description below this video if you're watching on YouTube, or in the show notes if you're listening on the podcast apps. Okay, so without further ado, let's bring on our favorite astrologer, seer, Lady Scorpionic Energy, Mrs. Halloween, Mary Dusina. Welcome back, darling. How are you today?
What a wonderful introduction, and may you all be blessed to listen to your intuition, to plan your money and your time to attend to meet our Nicole in person in Colorado. Colorado's a great vortex, and it's a Leo state. So I promise you that there will be Leo being the heart chakra if you're able to go and finally have that face-to-face, third eye to third eye, heart chakra to heart chakra experience, live coaching, ceremonial experience with Nicole. You will be enlightened and you will not be disappointed, because when you're around safe, instructional teachers, when you're around those people that structure their life work and their time, as I've held many seminars, you just can't hold a candle. You know, God bless the Zoom and God bless these podcasts and broadcasts and recordings and all of that. It gives us a chance to really drink the bloom of the elixir of intuitive information, but to really actually be aura to aura, chakras to chakras, heaven and earth, as above, so below, with nature, with someone that you've grown to trust your own soul sovereignty and vulnerability emotionally with. I promise you, every seminar that I spent the money and I traveled to, and I went to those truth teachers and those life coaches and those weekends that furthered me along privately with myself. It's that old, can't remember if it was MasterCard or Visa, but it's that old charge card commercial that said priceless. I mean, you really can't put a price on how it will. I call it an immortal effect, all the teachers that have inspired me in my growing to be a forever student teacher for other people, it's priceless. I mean, it's an immortal effect. It's something that you get with boots on the ground that is so anchored into your psyche, your soul, as well as releasing a lot of psychological baggage, a lot of mental battle skills. I'm simply going to validate what I know to be true about Nicole, and I'm going to urge you, and I don't get paid for this. I'm telling you this from my heart.
I did not pay you to do this.
Absolutely. No, and I'll be the first to say it, because the reason I'm validating it is I know how valuable it is in a divisive world, and what we've all come out of with this Jupiter-Saturn conjunction in Aquarius in 2020. And now the Aquarius is saying, spend the money, invest the time, go and be among the people that do not divide you, that do call up your heavenly nature, the true higher plus factor of the Aquarian energy of Pluto and Aquarius. This is about, the threshold of the Aquarian, the age of Aquarius. And it's about knowing that, yes, we incarnated into emotional, psychological, karmic family, but now go out there and spend time and break bread with your tribal brothers and sisters. Like, get out there to your celestial and soul DNA, RNA tribe that can do nothing but help guide you and enhance you emotionally, mentally, and spiritually, because that then, as you are empowered, then you walk this world empowered, and everyone you greet or touch literally with your eyesight is immediately leveled up, because you're doing your work. Did you hear me? Because you are making the investment of time to stop complaining and stop being an escape artist and stop being in denial and stop bitching about the world or getting caught up in the news and all that fear, and go out. It's time. Let's make the time to be the difference in the world. We are those people. We are those tribal members. We are that community of light, and it's not cultish. It's about heart chakra alignment. Period.
Yeah. Well, it's, speaking of Saturn and Pisces, I did something actually just a few hours ago before we got on to record this. I was like, I don't know why I'm feeling very called to look at what were the top spiritual books that came out the last time Saturn was in Pisces. And the first one that came up was the Celestine Prophecy. That is like one of my favorite books. That book awakened me, like on a level that I didn't even realize I was awakening.
It's interesting. James Redfield, that wrote the book, The Celestine Prophecy, with the 9 main insights, his first book, and Nicole's right. He was a therapist by trade, but he also was incorporating astrology into his therapy. And when Warner bought the rights to the movie, to make the movie The Celestine Prophecy, when he sold it, the story of James Redfield, he traveled all over the Southeast. He borrowed money from a friend to be able to self-publish the book. And he traveled speaking about Pisces and giving, he traveled all over the Southeast and gave the books away to bookstores, metaphysical bookstores. Like, there was no risk factor at all for them. He literally paid for it through a loan from his friend. And yes, he paid the loan back and gave the books away to help promote. He did all the boots on the ground, driving his car, going into the metaphysical bookstores, taking it to television stations and radio stations. I had him on the radio station when I had a show in Florida. That's how I know the story, because I actually interviewed him. And because he gave it all, his time, his investment, his belief in the dream, that as a educated, trained therapist, it was real woo-woo back then in that 93, 94, 90. It was still woo-woo then. I mean, it was like right up when The Secret came out and Marianne Williamson and these people, these traditional sheepskin college degreed people, Dr. Brian Weiss and Greg Braden and Wayne Dyer and Louise Hay, were trying to come out with, look, we need to advance our consciousness, and it doesn't make you in a cult, and it doesn't make you against whatever spirituality richness that you have. And because he gave it all away and totally, and I'm sure he had moments of stress and doubt, we talked about it off air, but he totally stuck to his plan. The Celestine Prophecy became very popular. And for those of you that haven't read it, it's free online now. And you can go onto the internet and you can type in the main control dramas, the 4 main control dramas, and the 9 insights of the Celestine Prophecy by James Redfield. You can print out little posters and banners. And the work of him being a therapist, of how he looked at how we all flow out of the four main control dramas, which ties in with the medicine wheel and which ties into the four angular houses of our horoscope, was, the poor me, the intimidator, the interrogator, and the aloof. And it's just fantastic. And so its time is really coming around for round 2 now, because if you look at the aloof, that's Pluto in Aquarius. If you look at the interrogator, that's our stellium in Aries right now. And if you look at the intimidator, that could have to do with when we get these cardinal equinox and season openings, when we get to, Aries open spring in the northern hemisphere, and at Lithia, summer solstice, Cancer the crab, cardinal water opens up summer, and then we have beautiful Libra, our full moon this month, the pink full moon, traditionally opens up autumn, Mabon in the traditional northern hemisphere, and then we come to Yuletide, winter solstice, when we get to cardinal Earth, which is Capricorn. So we've got these 4 cardinal signs that open up the seasons, and then we've got the 4 control dramas. We've got the 4, the astrological new year opened up, the new year for astrologers and metaphysical mystics like myself. My new year is always when the sun opens up Aries. This year it was on the new moon at 0 degrees on March 20th. That's my new year. And to people that want to work with it in more of an earth-based spring type of vortex, where I live in the northern hemisphere. And then what happens is we're starting our adventure of the 7 numerological year when we launch with the beginning sign of the 12 orders of the zodiac spices or celestial signs. Aries begins the wheel of our new adventure for the year of our Lord of 2023. And this full moon is at 16 degrees some minutes of Libra, which is the opposite in balance to Aries. They balance each other, Aries, Libra, spring, fall. 1 and 6 of that 16 degrees adds to a 7. So we're in a numerological rich year of the number 7. 7 is how the energies of the heavenly, our higher nature, our higher self, our ability to plug into the illuminations of the divine and spirit. It's as above, so below on earth now as it is in heaven. So the 7 is the guiding light as far as our intention and our affirmation. So where Aries is the first sign, Libra becomes, in the order of things, the 7th sign. Mm-hmm. And so we're working with me, myself, and I, and how I can check myself, the Aries part of my chart. The Aries part of our nativity, our natal chart, says, make sure you're not projecting psychologically onto others the work that you need to do with yourself. So are you expecting too much from the external or others or the outside world, or are you unconsciously projecting your fears or your anxieties onto your work or onto your lover or onto your when you go to the grocery store, when you go to the restaurant, the server? Are you getting all bougie with the people that show up to serve you your meal and take your order, and the cashier that lets you get out of the grocery store or the big box store or the gas station or whatever it is? Aries can be arrogant on its minus side, like, hurry up, peon, I've got things to do and I'm in a hurry and I've got a schedule. Or the Aries can be like Sagittarius, the jovial, person that cracks the joke and lights up someone else's day, that's already trapped inside the gas station or already having to go for an x-ray at the hospital or waiting for the doctor, and they're aggravated because they're waiting too long at the dentist or the doctor. And the Aries or the Sagittarius energy can walk in the room and say, hey, how you doing? Thank you for your time today. And, not irritate people with your overly, invasive friendliness, but just walk in the door as the magic wands that we are. Aries is the spark. Aries is the spark that lights the fire of desire. Yes. It's the first fire sign. So ask yourself, what sparks, what ignitions, what things do I want to start up? Aries isn't about finishing it. Okay. It's not about finishing it. Mm-mm. And the full moon in Libra is like time to kind of balance it. And, where are you in your own way? Where might there be some little complications or the sticks in the wheel? get the stick out of the wheel so you can go forward. Libra's about how can we negotiate it? How is it a win-win? So it's not just too much me or not but too much your way. How can we come to the table and say, I matter, but so do you? And I was looking for, it's the spark that ignites us. So rather than us having to bloom out the whole next 2-year plan, because there is a point of reference for that. When Mars flipped into Cancer in the 3rd week of March here, when Mars flipped into the water, cardinal sign of Cancer, early type of students of astrology kind of get a little stuck with, oh no, Cancer squares Aries, and this full moon is in Libra. So those signs are all in a bit of a conflict because, Libra's opposing Aries and Cancer is at a 90-degree geometric square. So let's give it an analogy. So the analogy is Aries is ruled by Mars. Mars is the governing mythological energy of the sign of Aries. So, of course, in Aries season, which started on March 20th of 2023, we want to look at what is the ruler of Aries doing. And so a deeper clue, celestially for all of us as celestial shamans, is to go find out the house or the zone of the section, if you will, of where we hold Cancer, the ocean crab. Because this is where Mars, for the next 4 to 5 weeks, is going to be adding its little chutzpah, it's stirring the pot. So, there's all those old sayings, a watched pot never boils, when you're trying to get the rice boiled or the pasta noodles or whatever. So Mars in Cancer is now saying to us in a magical way, have you reached a boiling point on something? And let's take that back to ourselves. Always metaphysically, rather than it being your boss or your lover or your neighbor's fault, what's boiling? What's kind of an undercurrent? Cancer and Pisces are oceanic signs. We've got Saturn in Pisces as of March 7th. Nicole and I were talking about the last time Saturn was in Pisces, 93 to 96, 1993, 1996. So Mars now in Cancer, after 8 months of Mars being in Gemini back in August of 2022, retrograding a little bit right before Halloween in 2022, and now it's finally changed signs. So that part of our mind that was OCD or the battleground in the mind now has backed off, and Mars is in the cardinal element, which Mars rules, cardinal, fire, Aries, and now it's in cardinal, water. So whatever has been in the depths of us, whatever has been kind of like a mystery, whatever we could add, it's like sitting at the beach, and sometimes when you're in the beach, there'll be signs that the lifeguard will put up that will say, undertow, warning, rip current. And if you've not lived on the beach like I have, or like right now in Florida, they're experiencing the biggest algae bloom of red tide, which is a big deal when you visit or want to live or go to the beach and enjoy the beach. And we just had spring break. Well, that algae bloom suffocates a lot of the marine life, and there's dead fish and creatures, and it stinks, and it's very medically, red tide and that algae bloom is very toxic to our respiratory system, which is Gemini stuff. So Florida's a Pisces state, and right now, and the tourist, the whole tourist dynamic and the whole real estate dynamic in Florida downplays when they have red tide, because they don't want the people not to come and spend those tourist dollars or those real estate dollars. So red tide is a phenomena that happens in Florida, and the Gulf side of Florida's got the biggest red tide algae respiratory challenging bloom for 12 years, not since like 2011, like sometime around 2011. So when you live on the beach like I did, and you're a resident on the beach, you pay attention to red tide. Now, of course, the state comes and scrapes all the dead fish up before sunrise every day, so the tourists that walk on the beach don't know. But I tell people about red tide because it can irritate your breathing, and for people, you have to consider. I'm going to say this delicately. You have to consider the openings on your body when you're getting into the ocean with red tide. So your nostrils, your mouth, and below your navel, because that puts in that toxic algae and that seaweed into the waters of your body, and so women can have interesting contraindications that happen down there. So I'm not saying don't enjoy the beach. I'm saying be proactive when the beach is speaking, when the heavens are speaking. You know, we've just come off of this 5 planetary alignment that's going on in the sky. We've just come off of these coronal mass ejections, and the northern lights, the aurora borealis, have come down further in the third and final week of March as we come into this bloom of this full moon. There's a lot of celestial action. And Pluto went into Aquarius in that latter part of March. And what's happening is Aquarius, and I'll flip into the tarot cards real quick. Aquarius is the heavens. The constellation of Aquarius is the water bearer in the heavens. The Aquarius is a yang electrical vibrational sign. So the masculine yang electrical vibration of the male figure with the urn up in the heavens, like Gemini, up in the heavens, is pouring out the electrical healing and currency of the star nation, of the star beings, okay? But the aurora borealis is the magnetic pulsations that come, coronal mass ejections, and it can interfere with stores' computer systems, their ability to take your debit card. Sometimes you'll see signs where they go, I'm sorry, our systems are down, we're just taking cash. So that's that whole debit cards, credit cards can't be taken temporarily, and sometimes the store shuts down in bigger cities. Well, magnetic storms and coronal mass ejections, we've just had our 7th, there's 7 again, big coronal mass ejection as of March of 2023. In 2022, there was a total of 7 big solar storms. So we're already at 7 at the end of March. So I can promise you, as a mystic, and I love my mountains. I've lived on the beach, but I love being the mountain mystic because I've got that clear view of the skies. 2023 being a 7-year, Pluto going into Aquarius, Saturn being in Pisces, this is the heavens are speaking. So biblically, it goes back to, behold, I send you signs and wonders to behold. So get out under the stars, let the full moon and the new moon and the crescent moon and the half moon, get out there, even if it's for 10 minutes, and get yourself a moon tan, get yourself starstruck, get yourself a little bit of this magnetic energy that's going on with these alignments, because it's encoding you. And in my little humble opinion, just me, not putting it on anybody else, I can feel it enhancing my literal DNA. I can feel it enhancing my electromagnetic frequencies. So my suggestion is, you don't have to take my word for it, go try it. Try doing your affirmations, your prayers, casting your intentions, praying for those that matter to you, be it animal or spirit, or those in spirit, or your loved ones, or your relationship and your intimacy factors. Go out in the night sky, go out at the magical time of twilight, and allow that Aquarian energy. Pluto's just going to visit 0 degrees of Aquarius till summer, like June 11th, 12th of this year, but it's going to back up into Capricorn. This is a magical time. This is a time for us to energetically allow the bow and the arrow of our heavenly sacred guides and divine source and our angelic source and everything that you believe is sacred spiritually. You know, this whole Passover and Easter and Ramadan and all of these different cultures that even in earth medicine that celebrate the unfurling of spring and the new plants and the new flowers and the herbs and people getting into the garden. The Aries into Taurus time is about, let me work the land, let me be outside, let me disconnect from the electronics, the technical stuff, and let me have a full body healing with the frequencies of our great star, the sun, and the stars and the earth, and that concert and that baptism of how our earth mother is receiving the work of us. Actually, I'm going to plant those moonflowers. I'm going to plant my rosemary and my lavender and my oregano, and those are going to be my herbs that I cook with. And I want to go celebrate the land, and I want to go thank my earth mother and her nutrients. And I'm going to buy some Miracle Grow soil, and I'm going to go all around my herbs and my shrubs and my flower beds, and I'm going to put it on the grass if that's what you're into, and the trees, and I'm just going to thank them for the resurrection and the rebirth of them coming back in our spring season going into the warming season. And that's the startup. That's the, let me do the work. Let me What plants do I want this year? What herbs do I want to experiment with? What do I want to grow beets or do I want to grow garlic for the Allison healing of onion and garlic? So Aries is about get your eyes and your boots on the ground to study about what do I feel I'm in tune with in the vegetable, the fruit, and the herbal kingdom. What tree is my favorite tree? What do I want to start to, as we turn the wheel of the year, I want to be alchemically a participant in blessing that which will be giving back to me, but I also want to give to the land. So yeah, I save my organic banana peels and I crush up my eggshells for the calcium, and it keeps certain pests away from your flowering herbs and your cooking herbs and your tomato plants and all that. They don't like going across the slugs and things. They don't like going across the crushed shells of your eggs that you're saving and putting back into nature, but it also gives calcium to your plants and the Epsom salts that helps your flowering trees and plants. So you want to go back and you want to give to it right now, coming into this Aries, Taurus, Gemini season. These are the spring signs. Aries, Taurus, and Gemini in the Northern Hemisphere are the three signs of spring. So I don't just look at Aries. I look at my energies, my brother of Aries and Gemini, and my sister of Taurus. When I'm looking at the yin and yang in the spring signs, Aries is yang, Taurus is yin, she's giving, and Gemini comes back again to be the masculine yang. So I've got two yang soldiers, warriors on either side, protecting my Taurus, Earth Queen, saying, we will do the work, my queen. We will give back. We know that you are fertile. We know that you're pregnant with possibility, and we will not be distracted. We will not let there be a battleground in our mind or our emotions of the political divisions and the divisiveness psychologically that's out there, which is meant to pull us away from the peace of our soul and the harmony of our mind. And this full moon in Libra is saying, forget that and forget them being an influencer to you. Take your position as an alchemist, as a living, breathing magic wand of grace and glory and empowerment, and the warrior and the warrioress. And how might you forget their opinion, and how might you just take step by step and make differences into this world? And such is the tarot card for Aries. We have the Emperor. We have the number 4. We have the Emperor tarot card that it's like, I'm good with my beliefs, and I know that I have to put one foot in front of the other. I have to watch my words, and I have to be able to make a difference with my actions. Aries is action. It's action. And then you look at this full moon, the tarot card of the Justice card of Libra, and she's saying, all right, I've got my sword and I've got my scales of justice. So how might we, as I said earlier, create a mutual win-win? I'm not taking too much from you, and I'm not going to allow you to energy vampire my butt. That's not going to happen. And then I picked a card for Mars and Cancer, and I saw the Mars and Cancer card as the 6 of Cups. And the 6 of Cups, because the water signs of Cancer, Pisces, where we have Saturn and Scorpio, have a lot to do with the flow or the damming up or the blockage of our feelings and our emotions. So if Mars is a warrior and Mars is a spiritual activator, Mars right now is in the very emotion-driven sign of Cancer, the ocean crab. And the crab goes sideways on issues, or it backs up first to take another look at it. It doesn't just dive right in with direct participation like Aries does. So Mars is saying, find your boiling point, let your cup run us over with an ability to not be on the offense or the defensive all the time. Cancer, they're like Pisces. I often say about Pisces, listen, you can walk a mile to get your feelings hurt. You can get offended by everything and everybody if you just keep the spotlight on you. So Cancer and Pisces have to realize that, and Mars and Cancer is going to teach all of us, especially wherever we have the Cancer house in our natal chart. And I can help you with that if you want to get your chart done. Nicole can help you with that. Right now, our psychological key is to unlock where we got bottled up in our childhood. So Mars in Cancer isn't a bad thing. Mars in Cancer is saying to us, let's take some action. Let's light the spark and gaze at that candle flame of what your pattern was or my pattern was of how we got a little offended or on the defensive, or when we get on the defensive, or when we don't want to risk our vulnerability with a new attraction or somebody that we have a lot of expectations of as our boss, lover, teammate, parent, kid, whatever, we tend to project that onto them. So the two cards I would suggest that you work with as far as your oracle homework would be the Best of Libra. It's an autumnal card, the Four of Wands. So as we come into the celebration of spring, we have like the wedding or the birth or the celebration on our home grounds, on our home turf. On the celebration, the Four of Wands are the garlands and the flowers and the roses, and everything's decorated, and it's a time to celebrate an accomplishment. The Best of Libra is that we overcame a fear or an obstacle. And the Six of Cups is going back into our childhood and bringing forward the sweet spots, the soft moments, those people that were our advocates, those people that did step in to help the boo-boo, dry our tears, saying, you got this, it's okay. Don't spend too much time on that. Let's go get ice cream. Let's go take a walk in the woods. And the story that my higher guides gave me for this Mars in Cancer and any potential challenges to the Aries Libra was, and I'm sure you've all heard of it, it first came out in the 1930s, in 1931, in the movie Frankenstein. And so what we have with Dr. Victor Frankenstein is that he takes parts of like dead people, and he's a mad scientist in a sense, and he's in his lab, and the movie is he creates an odd creature. Instead of just having a child with his fiance, he goes into his lab and he uses thunderstorms and lightning bolts and all that, and he takes other patchwork parts of bodies that were buried or in the graveyard, and he creates his labor then as he creates, they call the monster Frankenstein, but this mad scientist that created it was Victor Frankenstein. So his creation was feared and misunderstood. But the monster, if you will, of Frankenstein was created by someone else's. When you study the whole story of the writer of Frankenstein, the mad scientist of Victor Frankenstein was wounded out of his own childhood. So he wanted to dominate and control and create, in a sense, a freak of nature. So his creation ended up being both feared and misunderstood and hunted because its creation, when he showed it fire, it was scared of fire. Okay, we're in Aries. Aries is the spark of fire. And the villagers, when you go back to those old movies, the villagers hunted down the monster with torches of fire. They used torches back then, and they're running around in the village to try to find this monster. So they had their lit torches, and they wanted to burn it down, and so Frankenstein was misunderstood. The creature that Dr. Frankenstein created found this little girl, and he was just talking to her and playing with her, but he's a creature. He's a psyops. He's an AI. He's a chat, creature, just like we've got these odd misunderstandings of these AI, kind of scary looking creatures, and get your AI personality or get your AI sex robot mate kind of a thing. So we've got a new cycle of this Dr. Frankenstein that's taking place, and it can be rolling out too fast. It can come hot, fast and furious, and now they're talking about how this chat and this AI talk about plagiarism and slander and libel, that it can take your voice, and people can say, take some pictures of la 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 and take their voice and create a movie. Yeah. And so they literally create this technical falsehood, misunderstanding, or antithesis of who you or I are, and what we're representing. And like, that's not me. And you and I can sit there going, I'm not worried about it. That's not me. But see how it's ultimately teaching us to work with our sacred divine skill sets of discernment. Even biblically, it talks where you do not battle against just men. You battle men or women. You're battling against the principalities and orders and dominions of spirit or another's intention. So the whole Frankenstein metaphor, Dr. Frankenstein metaphor, can be that we are responsible for the choices that we make every day. Are we creating a monster out of the box, or can we take the best of Aries, which is we have a treasure map. Aries gives us, we get gifted. We're pirates, the Pirates of the Caribbean, and Johnny Depp's the Gemini that plays Jack Sparrow. We become pirates on a delightful vision quest. Now, most pirates go by the ocean, Mars in Cancer, Saturn in Pisces. They go to an exotic land, and they've got this treasure map that fell into their hands. There's the magic, there's the alchemy, and they want to follow it until they find X marks the spot, and there's going to be riches of some kind. So we're pirates in Aries, and when we actually discover that foreign land or that exotic vortex, that's Taurus. Our feet come on the land out of the ocean currents. And while those pirates are trying to get to that land where that treasure map is, there can be ocean storms, there can be tsunamis, there can be, sharks, there can be whales, there can be, the whole movie's about the giant octopus and these monsters of the deep that get them, and the sirens and the mermaids and all those things that happen to them when they're having their hallucinations and their desires, and the greed factor. Is there going to be mutiny on the Bounty? So it's everything about the intention once we light, Aries, the fire of our desire. So then we have to take the mission. We have to actually take the excursion. You're not just going to get always full enlightenment and empowerment from the book or the podcast. There's something, like I said in the beginning, that's different when you actually invest your time and your money and go on the excursion, go on the actual soul experience and the sojourn, because nobody can take that away from you. That's you for you. So when you get on the land in Taurus, like we'll get at the end of April and May, and at the end of April, we've got the first solar eclipse of 2023. On our next new moon, we have 2 new moons in 2023 in the one sign of Aries. Mm-hmm. The one on March 20th at 6 degrees opened the door of not the same old that we've always been attracted to, or we always like sexually, always invest in financially. The one on March 20th said, time for a new game. Level up. Start shedding, stop being the same type of lover, touching the same way all the time. Stop just getting stuck in a rut or a pattern, or always being mad at this or mad at that with work or with clients or with service contracts or the patients in your field or whatever it is. This next new moon, April 20th, is about opening up to the 29th degree, the Antarctic degree of Aries, that says, okay, you're on the ship. You're on the journey. You're on the ship of a brand new, uncharted territory in the relation-ship with yourself. And as you up-level that, as you give a damn about the better, best version of you as your God-given choice, you make the choice that, no, I know I can be greedy, and I know I can be a tightwad, and I know I can be selfish, and I've taken advantage of people, and people have taken advantage of my good nature, and I'm empathic, and I'm going to level up. I'm going to level up. I'm going to really hold myself accountable. And as you do that, and you're on board the ship of exploration, you're not going to find a zombie monster. You're not going to run into Dr. Frankenstein and the misunderstood monster that took all the consequences of being hunted and trying to be burnt. They burned the village, and the monster ends up, the Frankenstein creation ends up strangling the assistant in the lab, so there were a lot of consequences. And like that creature didn't ask to be born. It all was born from the original spark or the original wound of Dr. Victor Frankenstein. So instead, let's choose the treasure map, and let's be responsible for our own steps and our own consequences and choices, knowing that whatever choice that you or I make, there are consequences that are coming forward. So if we keep that positive and don't lay out a lot of expectations, and we don't try to OCD define exactly if it's good, it's going to come back just as ABC. If we leave ourselves open to the magic and the alchemy and the responsibility, oh yes, the responsibility of the wishes that you're casting forward. This Libra moon can show you, under the light of this pink moon at 16 degrees, the magic of the number 7. Let's sit down and have a little talk with what's really going on within you. So then when you and I land in Taurus on the land, and we actually come before that full moon and that new moon in the sign of Taurus when we switch into the Taurus Scorpio axis of what I have and what I desire, right? Now we're in Aries is I am, and Libra is we can or we have. So right now we're blending the choice and the consequences of I am that I am, and this is what we can do, and this is what we can have, and this is the we that I want by my side, and this is what we can do as a team, with the team effort. So Libra is saying, yes, there needs to be a leader, but sometimes the leader needs to rest. And I'm the advocate. I'm the tribal brother or sister. I'm the tribal advocate that will say, yes, my captain. Yes, my captain, go and rest. And here, let me give you some food. Thank you for your fire, and thank you for your vision. And thank you for the initiation and lighting the sparks of my adventure and my soul, so that you rest and you restore and you renew, and let me take care of some of the grunt work, and let me help light the way for our mutual win. That's what Libra's bringing to the table. This full moon.
Yeah, this full moon is interesting. Like even when you were talking about the Mars and Cancer element, like I pulled a card for this full moon before we started the show, and the card that I pulled was compassion. And I feel like this particular full moon, with it kind of illuminating something within our relationships with other people, and also how we are showing up in those relationships. What is our, like you said, I think accountability is a really strong word for this particular full moon, because I see there's going to be possibly quite a few important conversations being had within our one-to-one relationships, how we are with others, but coming at it from a place where I think many of us are being illuminated with this idea of like, where have we played small with that Chiron Jupiter mix on the sun, and how do you stop playing small? How do you, like you just said, step up into more of a leadership role and be accountable for what you bring to the table in a relationship? And also, when we think about it too, with Venus ruling Libra, and Venus also being about our values, there might be some new value systems that are in play as you start to move through your own healing of who you are and how you're showing up in these relationships. What do you value more? And is this relationship really tending to your values, or are you tending to the values of this relationship properly so that it has everything that it needs to be successful and interdependent and supported? Like, I feel like there's going to be a lot of important conversations with Saturn having that beautiful trine to Mars, and then also that sextile to Mercury. There's a lot of motivation to have very mature conversations about what is needed to level up and to, really support this relationship in a way where, how do I come to the table with my best version of self that's now a little more healed, has a better expanded perspective on the world, on who I am, what this relationship is. Like, there's a lot of that coming through, I feel, with this full moon.
I want to, and to that point, it's really okay when we're looking at accountability mixed in the recipe of compassion, as you just stated. It's okay. And I think it's important that when we've done healing work, when we've accomplished some shadow work, that we go to the mirror, we look at our eyes reflecting back to us in the mirror and say, good for you. You did it. That doesn't haunt you anymore emotionally, what you didn't get from your mom or how your dad was an abandoned in your life. Because with Mars and Cancer, and in recent light of these, some of the younger people acting out with the bad, difficult side of Scorpio and Aries, the violence, action. There's a lot of unseen inner child. They feel not validated. They feel like they're falling between the cracks. It's how that I'm not excusing any violent behavior. Murderer's a murderer. I don't care what it believes in. I don't even care about all that. If you murder, if you take a violent action, that's what you are, and everything else you believed in just went into the garbage with me, because you went and did an act of violence against something or someone innocent. So now you've lost any kind of validation for me to induct me or to be interested in what your life belief is. I don't care. You went out and did something violent. I don't choose to do that. So you're out. You're out. You inflicted whatever wounds you had on some animal or some innocent person, and so I don't care about your cause, and that's the wrong way to get your point across. But if you look at the adults or the women or the men at war within themselves, they're at war with their sexuality, they're at war, like society's trying to push us so much into a survival mode for food and shelter, with the inflationary factors and the riots in Israel and the people in the street in France and in New Zealand. We the people, Pluto and Aquarius, they're revolting against this governmental mayhem that's going on. That they're Argentina. I mean, people in Argentina, you're not going to see it in America's news, but if you go on in shortwave radios and you go on to certain podcasts and videos and Twitter, you'll actually see these snippets, these vignettes of the people in New Zealand saying, we're just suiciding. We can't even afford the food. So in our daily prayers, in our ceremonial moments, I'm just going to talk about myself. I pray for anyone or anything. I always pray for the innocent, because we're all Earth citizens on this planet. And I always say, Almighty I am forces, greater, higher good, and the lights of love. I pray that every innocent that's thirsty gets quenched in the divine's own perfect ways, and any innocent creature on our Mother Earth that needs safe shelter and protection, I pray for those shields of light and comfort and warmth and food. It's like even in the Celtic hand fasting ceremony, may you never thirst, may you never hunger, may you always have warmth and safe shelter. And in the Celtic, in the earth medicine, in the Wiccan religions, they will say that when someone leaves Earth and goes into the spirit, they call it the Summerland, because the Summerland, they're never cold, they're never thirsty, they never hunger anymore. They don't have those trials and travails that they may have experienced in this incarnation on Earth. Because Earth is also about some kick-ass survival. Yeah, I mean, people can talk like and love all they want to, but if something's chasing them, or they lost their home, or they lost their car, or they've had an abusive relationship, I don't forget those energies. I don't forget those people. And as a life coach, teacher, empath, energy reader, any kind of healing, Reiki master, whatever it is that you're doing, it's our obligation, not just to the client that's calling us or that we're talking to in person and holding a seminar with. If you choose to do healing work as a rabbi, as a priest, as a nun, as a monk, whatever it is, you have that divine responsibility to pray for all on this planet, in our Milky Way galaxy, and for the universe that we reside in the galaxy that we reside in. It's all energetic signatures. And each and every one of us, as we tune into Pluto and Aquarius and we validate our good qualities, I mean, we actually say to ourselves, with Venus now in Taurus, the North Node now in Taurus, and in aligned with Uranus at 17 degrees over April 1st, prior to this full moon, that whole Taurus harmony is saying, how does your garden grow? How's your garden? How's your soul garden? How's your emotional garden? How's that mind-mental garden going? Maybe it needs a little wheat seed. That's Taurus. That's Taurus. So the tangible, and look at, as you were saying, Nicole, look at Saturn is in Pisces, mutable, yin, feminine energy. Mars is in Cancer, again, yin. Taurus is yin. We've got this Earth Mother. We've got the Mother Ocean. We've got Grandmother Moon. We've got these magnetic. When we get into yin energies astrologically, it's a magnetic vibration. Think of the Northern Lights. Or think of a tuning fork. Think of a magnet. What are you and I allowing to be drawn to ourselves? We can't not be cognizant of that. I have to be aware of the type of energy I'm going to be drawing to me by my actions, by my congruent, repetitive thoughts. I'm drawing to me the law of attraction. What I'm giving out and what I'm doing to myself is exactly the dynamic of the energy alchemy that's going to come swinging back into me. It's a boomerang type of effect. So what a wonderful time this is to look at when you study astrology. What are the best qualities? What are the best recipe opportunities of Pisces, Saturn in Pisces? Saturn is the teacher. It's the landlord, it's the teacher, it's the CEO of the company. It's the principal of the school. Saturn, it's the law. It's time management. Saturn is saying, okay, I'm in the most mystical sign. I'm taking you to the depths of your being. I'm taking you to the oceanic. We're going to dive deeper. We're going to go into deep thoughts. We're going to go into the mysteries of you. We're going to go into your soul level. What are the waves that want to rise up at soul level? How do the salt waters heal you? Look at the different creatures of manifesting possibility that live within the ocean of your emotions. Go into yourself and bring out those pearls. An oyster takes an irritation and turns it into a pearl. So there are pearls of wisdom now, not pearls cast upon the swine. We're getting benefits of the depths of ourselves. Taurus planets right now, the Venus, the North Node, and Uranus, those at mid degrees are saying to us, we can make this a tangible, materialistic, earth life blessing way for you. You can literally bless yourself with abundance by your ability to creatively level up your own game. And then the Aries is like, I'm the light. I got the light. I got the flashlight. I got the candle. I can show you how to turn that on your cell phone. I can show you how you're the flashlight and you're the spotlight as you walk into the scenario to the person, touch their face, comb their hair. And as Nicole was saying, just sit down with the appropriate compassion and say, let me hear how you're doing today. How you handling that? How you handling that? You okay? What's going on? And shut up and deeply listen. There's your ocean again. Deeply listen, deep listening with compassionate understanding. And
that is, I feel like there's something really important about this full moon. I feel that's being highlighted for the entire year. I felt it since the beginning of the year. Like even when I was doing my predictions, I feel like this year is about bridging the gap. And I feel like this is the year where we stop talking so much and start listening to one another. Because what happened in 2020, especially in March, right? During the Pisces Aries season, when we had all of the stuff come down and our entire reality change, is that it went into this constant battle of being heard. And everyone was fighting for airtime. And when we think about this full moon in Libra, and there's such an energy here with Saturn and Mars, and even Venus, the ruler of this moon, being in Taurus, all feminine signs, yin signs. There's this how do I become a better listener? How do I actually am I meeting the needs of others? There's been a lot of emphasis over the last couple of years about really understanding who we are, what our needs are, and it's all been very important. But at some point, the energy does have to shift and the pendulum does have to swing, where you are able to then start integrating all of those new changes within yourself into your relationships. And there's something about this full moon that I feel for even just the rest of the year is going to be a highlighting point where a lot of us are being called and possibly even challenged in some cases to start understanding, am I really listening to others? Am I there and supporting others? Am I there for them in their needs? Or am I just ready to cut everyone out of my life at the first drop of a hat of, I don't like that? There's a need to maybe perhaps renegotiate how we are in our relationships. And perhaps, there are certain contracts within our relationships that maybe we're going to need to let go with this full moon. But then there's ones that I think are being called to be strengthened. Like, where is the value and how can I help? How can I be better? How can I be a better friend, a better partner, a better sister, a better brother, whatever it might be. There's something about this that I feel is not just percolating, but also beginning to permeate the ethers of starting to bridge the gap of this divide that you even first mentioned at the beginning of the show that needs to happen. We've been too pulled apart from one another, and it's time to start coming back together and finding that common ground, finding that balance, that harmony that is very Libran.
Yeah, and when we think about Libra, because Mercury is going to slide into the air sign of Gemini over the mid part of April, the 11th and 12th. And so just after this full moon, before the eclipse in Aries, and the nodes are going to shift back into Aries and Libra. So the pendulum that you're speaking about that's swinging, and to your point about the divisiveness and how we got pulled back from people with the lockdowns of the Ides of March of 2020, part of that slamming us into our little cages and no, you can't go out and you can only do this, you can only do that, and all that, force fed us to be able to look at how am I if I feel afraid or locked down or disconnected, and one side believes this and one side believes that, and one side's going to judge you if you do and one side's going to judge you if you don't, and they've been trying to keep that theme going. It went from everybody's opinion about what the government was telling you to do all over the world into, and now we're going to tell you that there's something wrong with you still if you don't now accept this cause or believe this or put a spotlight on this, and that other dynamic, which is the negative part of Aquarius and Capricorn and the areas of and oh, by the way, if you're a certain race, you owe that other race reparations. So there's this gnashing of the teeth.
Yes.
Again, just little humble opinion of this spiritual warfare, creating that constant grumble, that constant, sharp teeth and fangs, against somebody else. And I'm not going to participate in that. I'm not going to participate in that. It's up to me to train myself as a psychic, not only for myself, and to be able to discern energy signatures. So I don't just look at humans, and I certainly don't look at skin color. I like puppies and kittens of every color, but I don't. So I'm not going to get locked into somebody else's definition of that. And to go forward in community, we all would be better served by trusting what our intuitive, as I always say, stop second guessing your first instinct, regardless of what kind of creature is sitting in front of you and meowing or barking or chirping or talking. What is the energy atmosphere and what is the energetic frequency signature that's going on? Do your part, whether you're deep listening or doing an action in the garden or with a person. Do your part to, I will participate and I will send forth oracally, and from my electromagnetic dynamics, I will, if I'm going to bother to be with this animal or be with this person or go in this crowd, number one, I'm shielded. You shield yourself energetically as you go among crowds of people, or you go out in public or big cities or crowded places. You shield yourself, because the more that you open up intuitively, the more that this, if you're functioning mainly as an empath, you become like a psychic sponge.
Yeah.
And you're taking on, all of a sudden they're angry and you feel angry, or they're sad and you help them, but you feel sad and or you feel drained. So first step always when you're doing energetic work is, if it's Buddha, if it's Christ, if it's the Holy Ghost, if it's the Mother Mary, whatever, if it's nature, get your shields on. Not out of fear, but about protecting your own battery, protecting your own ability to be in the world, but not of it. Do you understand? Mm-hmm. So you came from spirit and you are spirit. So you're here to assess and produce as an energetic signature. So you don't let other creatures' spirit lax, or their mind. The mind is the great battlefield. You don't let their judgments or their lacks or their insecurities or their opinions of this or that at all drain you. You walk in confident. You're not out to push your agenda on anybody, nor will an agenda be pushed on you. So you're walking in very much like the Buddhist. You're walking in detached yet powerful as a light signature. So my job isn't to go convince anybody of anything. If I get involved with a client, doing their chart, helping them energetically get unstuck, my job is to help produce the light to be lit up for them to be able to know that it's kind of like in The Wizard of Oz. You've always had the answer all along. You just weren't ready to see it. Mm-hmm. So a person like myself or Nicole, our skill sets help you to see that, no, there's nothing wrong with you. There's some skins that you could shed. There's some doors that you could walk out of, but you came in sovereign. You came in as a powerful spirit. And all of us, it's arrogant for all of us to think that life is just going to be a bed of roses all the time. There's thorns on roses. There's people that, yep, they are evil and they are, going to be teachers of darkness, and they're going to do malevolent things, but it's up to us to learn the energy signature and not keep inviting that abusiveness into our atmosphere.
Well, and also to
And there's been
recognize the teacher in that darkness. You know, what is that there to teach you? Take the lesson and then get out.
That was the key. You know, in other words, they have to make sure that they don't get beat down so much by their own sometimes limited viewpoint of themselves, because it became their familiar atmosphere in their early life and their childhood. So then they attract that in their relationships. And, you know, anytime I say to a client, okay, in this relationship struggle that you've got going on, who does it remind you of? Who was your caretaker? Was it remind you of the temper of your father? Or was your father an alcoholic? Was your mother a drug addict? What are you creating? And realize that you want to be that black sheep of the family, in a sense that you break the generational pattern or you break the generational curse, and you are the footprints of the generational blessing.
Yes.
So you don't get hung up on still being mad at mom or dad or uncle or aunt or whatever. And I'm not downplaying any abuse that happened to anybody, physical, sexual, psychological, emotional. And I'm just saying, to Nicole's point, I absolutely know that there can be some harsh stripes and strikes of pain that come in this earth walk. Absolutely. But if people really opened up and didn't keep all those little dark secrets and take them all the way to the grave, they've all been visited by some of that. You know, there's people that beat animals. There's people that traffic kids. So yes, but we have a responsibility to say that was then, that produced a wound, that you can't keep picking the scab, it's got to heal. I've got to understand that made me a better warrior. That made me believe in myself more. That made me not tolerate that ever if I get into a relationship with someone and I have children, or be an advocate or a protection of not only my inner child, myself, but of my children. Because I can't tell you how many times that people have had horrible childhoods, and I'm reading for their kids, and the mother or the dad that had the horrible sexual, physical, abusive childhood, it happened to the kids, the neighbor or whatever, and the cycle repeats. You know, the cycle.
Yeah.
So what I'm saying is, if we'll be willing to not collapse with anger or fear or post-traumatic stress, and just say, let me train myself psychologically with a good therapist, with a good intuitive, with a good life coach. It's okay to look without always avoiding or resurfacing just the pain. Let's look at it like it was a storybook, like it's a life script. Get yourself detached enough to be able to just look at the bullet points and the facts, and give yourself credit of where you are now. You're not going to keep putting up with the same story again and again and again. And the Libra moon, this full moon, and even the beautiful eclipse coming up in Aries, grants us the courage, grants us the providence, and grants us the insight. Libra gives us the insights of, 1, how am I being treated? 2, how do I treat others? 3, what do I now define for myself and others as a balanced, healthier relationship? So we're building our ships right now. We're beginning to decide, okay, I'm going to get off of that ship. I'm not going to be on that boat anymore. Saturn's in Pisces, ocean, water, emotions, at Mars in Cancer, until it next goes into Leo. So we've got the flow, or the high tides, or the tsunamis, or the storms at sea, S-E-E. What are we seeing? Just like the S-E-A is. What are we seeing in the storms of our life, and how might we navigate to a new land, like the Six of Swords in the tarot? The ferryman has taken the cloaked woman and the young child away from her troubles with the jeweled swords in the boat onto a whole new life. So it's that part of us that can say, why am I still telling myself that this is the only kind of life I can have? Why am I wallowing in misery? Okay, so maybe he or she doesn't love me. Maybe they don't love me anymore. Maybe they don't treat me good anymore. And maybe I'm just supposed to move on. And the separation, or the divorce, or the breakup, or the death is because it serves its highest purpose. The teaching, the lesson, the teachers, it's a success. It's been accomplished. Not all lessons and teachings are supposed to, turn you on and make you feel good. They're also harsh to get us to move on. so we can feel good again.
Yes. Yes. Well, okay. Before we go into the individual signs, I wanted to add a little new element to our show together. And we'll do it kind of right before we go into the individual signs. And I'm kind of putting you on the spot, but you won't be put on the spot next time. So I'll give you a second here, but I know you won't need it. If this full moon in Libra could have a mission statement, what do you think that mission statement would be?
I think you hit on it. I choose to rise from my own arrogance and to be able to walk this world with more compassion. When we think about Easter and Passover and the fasting that people do with their different cultures, First Nations people, the Ramadan season, and different levels of wanting to do these rituals, these religious or spiritual rituals to help enhance compassion, less arrogance, more compassion. I think it has to do with how can I balance myself, and therefore I show up. Libra's all about relationships and relating. I can show it regardless of your sign. How can I show up better to enter a friendship, my BFF, a good relationship? How can I show up more authentic? If we move from arrogance, we move into authentic, that we're okay now just to be how I am, how Nicole, how her temper expresses itself, how Nicole is sensual, how Mary gets her point across. We stop repressing, and Libra says, it's okay that you express yourself before you get pissed off or before you get your feelings hurt. So Libra's saying, don't wait until you're already at, on a scale of 1 to 10, you're already that angry. You're already feeling rejected. You're already feeling left out. Your feelings got hurt. Why'd you let it get that far? Take accountability and go back. And it's arrogant for you to shove all your emotions down. You're mistreating your own self. So I think the purposefulness of the Aries Libra axis and dynamic, which, by the way, comes back to us again in 2023 when we get to autumnal equinox, when we get to the third week of September, then we're going to have the sun in Libra and the full moon will happen in Aries. So 6 months from now, we're all going to graduate and see how well we did with the lessons that right now in April of 2023, we've got some new lessons on our little lesson card, and we're also showing up more evolved since 2020. We're more evolved as the ability to not only teach ourselves, but to teach others by what we were talking about today, Nicole and I, deeper listening. And it's not just all about me, but I have to make it enough about me to care enough not to present the same old version, damaged version, arrogant version, insecure version of me. I've got to bring myself to the table, look at myself in the mirror and say, Mary, you're your best when. You really got your mojo on when. You really express your unique signature of creativity and light in this world, and you're really good when you express your kindness when, as, that way. That's Libra. Libra's bringing up the fire of Aries, to get something different going in our life. And when people say, what's my future? I wish this could be different. I need something different in my life. Well, okay, there's some work to be done. Yeah, and it always, 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 which is so appropriate for Aries, begins with us, doesn't it? It always begins with us.
Yeah. So maybe it could be something along the lines of, I compassionately explore my relationships to improve how I show up and perhaps be the bigger person, where the relationships that are deserving of it can support that. And let's face it, I'm not saying that you roll over and let relationships that really aren't good for you continue on and you just keep being the bigger person. This is about really taking a good analysis of your relationships. How can you be better? How can you listen more? How can you support more by being a leveled up version of yourself, by stepping up through that healed version that you've been doing all that work with the Chiron and Aries and all of that. But also we think about Jupiter. Jupiter is about expanding our perspective. It's about learning, a bigger picture. It's about seeing the bigger picture. And so it's like, how does your role fit into all of this? And how do you explore these relationships and support these relationships in this new way that you have leveled up in? And in some cases, some relationships are going to improve and they're going to expand and they're going to deepen. But there might be a couple that have to be perhaps let go of, or maybe put on the back burner for now, and that's okay too. But I would say that the overall energy, what I'm picking up, is less about removal and more about bridging the gap,
That's good.
yeah.
That's really good. I think yeah. So I like your point that you made in the first hour, accountability, moving from arrogance into compassion, and whether that's, I would put that to ourselves as well as others, because our first relationship is with ourselves. Now, some people might argue that our first relationship is with the spirit that drives this earth life mind, these earth life emotions, because once we go back into spirit, people don't like to face this, but whoever we knew, whatever we connected with, whatever animals have come and gone in our life, lovers that we've laid side by side with, this is an earth life experience. And it's all how those lovers and those deep friends and those family members that maybe hit us with a poison dart or rejected us or walked out of our lives abruptly, it's all how that's laid down a frequency signature on how I then continue to move forward in the world, or does it hold me prisoner? Do my psychological poison darts or do my emotional insecurities, have I put myself into a cage? Do I feel bound? Is there a shackle around my ankle, or am I able to then get a detached Aquarius perspective with compassion, Pisces, and be able to look at my version of myself, Mars in Cancer, and be able to say, maybe you need to get out of your head or get out of just what someone did to you as your only version of how this whole thing unfolded, and stop giving them power over you emotionally, psychologically, mentally, and say to yourself, and who are you in this? Go back to being the director of your movie, not just the actor or the actor. That makes sense? I mean, kind of like shift that perspective.
Yeah.
Turn
And
the light
also,
switch on in a different way.
Yeah. And also to remember that, the whole reason why you've been so focused on empowering yourself and building yourself up and doing the healing work is because as we all do that, when we then come together, although we're powerful as one, we're much more powerful as two when we're both coming in the same energy, right? So we can absolutely kind of expand our power and merge our powers into something even bigger when we can come together, and not forgetting that it's so important to understand your own individual self, but to also understand how does that relate to the collective, and how does that relate to those around you when you're working together. And I think there's just something even about like that concept of how do we work better together is, I think, a big key element of this full moon.
It's the first step, putting the big toe in the water, which is Aries. It's where we get those mottos of to thine own self be true, and physician heal thyself. It starts, before we go to the doctor, before we take the pill, before we smoke the joint, before we eat the mushroom, we're seeking something. We're seekers. We're hungry. We're thirsty. It isn't always just about water, wine, or food. What are we thirsting for? So in Pisces, the last sign of the zodiac, where is my soul thirsty? Where is my soul sighing? Okay, Saturn's in Pisces now. So go back. If you're a certain age, go back to what were the priorities. This is the benefit of astrology as a timing tool. When people say to me, I don't believe in astrology, I don't believe that just when you were born, that one picture tells everything about yourself. I said, no, not one photograph never tells your whole story. And I don't believe in it either as a religion, but it was a damn good tool. I mean, there's certain things a flathead screwdriver can do that a hammer can't.
It gives you a pretty good idea of the skeleton of your life, but then there's all of the, the flesh that's going to go on and grow. And Yeah. So,
moving
okay,
parts.
let's get
And
into, what were you saying?
okay. I said, well, there's moving parts, and if the the little tire bolt comes off, or the little pressure gauge cap comes off, it's okay to go get the tool of putting the pressure gauge back on your little tire so you can tell how much pressure's in your tire. Or if the lug nut comes off, you go and you replace that. Or if you break a glass, you clean it up and you get a different glass.
Yeah.
And but astrology for me, astrology is one awesome timing tool of cycles. I mean,
Yes.
It's just, we're living in a galaxy and there's orbiting celestial bodies. I think it's arrogant to think that science is now validating, not that I need it. To me, science is always catching up with spirit, but science now validates that we as humanoids, that we are made up of the same components as stars. So we're stars that came to Earth. The Eskimos had it right the whole time. The Inuit native tribe of the Eskimos said perhaps they're not stars above us at all, but our loved ones shining down upon us. I believe we're stars that are walking this earth. And so if we can look at the pluses of each one of these celestial frequency potentialities, then I think we up our game automatically. So if planets change, Saturn into Pisces and Mars into Cancer and Venus in Taurus, and Mercury's going to zoom out of Taurus into Gemini by April 12th, I want to then say, oh, how I think Mercury, before it goes retrograde in the third week of April, is going to shift into Gemini. So my optimal way of deduction and thinking and speaking and writing and getting my point across now has a Gemini flavor. So I'm going to need to get to the point quick, and I'm going to realize that everybody's got an opinion about this. Different than before April 12th, Mercury is in the sign of Venus. It's in Taurus. And to Nicole's point, the listening, the drawing people out, taking your time, and as Nicole said, talking less and listening more. So until April 12th, that's a valuable strategy that the celestial science can give us. That's the celestial weather forecast.
Yes. Yes.
How to push, how to pull back, how to lean in, and when to sit back.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Just align yourself with the energies, and you're likely to have a smoother ride.
That's it. Yeah. If my car or the jet, all the mechanics have checked the jet, or the train's not going to derail, if everything was the train tracks, and if everybody does their part, and if I care enough about the car I drive to occasionally, make sure I do my oil changes and make sure I do the tire pressures, and I drive with a sense of compassion and intelligence, and I don't get into the minus of Aries or Sagittarius road rage. If I am aware that I'm in the universe, but I'm an important moving part in the universe, then who the hell am I to think that I need to tell people that I need to be so aggressive on the road all the time? Nor am I going to put up with it. Just check yourself. Nor am I going to put up with you running up on my bumper without consequences. I have choices. So I'll pull over going, Jesus. I don't even want to be a part of
brakes.
You can take a bow. I'm going to hit the brakes and make you take a bow. Yeah. So, check yourself. All of a sudden, put on some music and realize, why do people get so angry when they drive their cars? I mean, there's people that actually, I've heard people say, who are all these people on my road and they need to get out of my way? And I'm like, I am not riding with you.
I think the road rage will be coming down now that Mars is out of Gemini.
Yeah. Well, here with Mars in Cancer, here's a little astrological hint. Don't let yourself move from hungry to, as we say in the South, hangry. Now, hangry, if you've never heard the word, is I'm hungry, and so I'm getting angry, like the little baby that starts slamming its hands on its food tray or crying because it can't walk or feed itself yet, and it starts screaming. Well, its stomach's moved from growling into hurting because it needs to have formula or milk or food. So this is not the cycle while Mars is, you need to go out and enjoy your meals with the Taurus factor and the Cancerian factor. This is a time to break bread with the people that you enjoy being with, and cook for the lover, and give a soft moment to somebody with some of the earthly pleasure. Go to the fresh veggie market, go to the greenhouses, go to the Mennonite and the Amish places, and get the non-GMO and the organic stuff. Go bask like spring and autumn. In autumn, we have the cornucopia. In spring, it's Taurus going, okay, those people that had greenhouses, or you visit the little Amish and the Mennonite markets, just go buy your plants and go look at what's out there, because that's a part of our earth suit. You know, our earth suit is like those plants and trees and fruits and veggies. Go enjoy your meal, for God's sake. Stop just slamming into a fast food place. Go bask in the pleasure principle and the sensuality. Let that soft moment, and give thanks for your food. For God's sake, starving and animals all over this planet. Really take a moment to inhale how lucky you are that you had that tomato, or you were able to go to the store, or you were able to make the avocado spinach dip. I mean, really look at what a treasure map that is. Yeah, you're opening up a treasure map that somebody would be happy with your scraps in the trash. I'm not saying that to make you feel guilty. I'm just giving you a reality check. Libra's about that kind of compassion too. Whenever Venus is involved,
Yes.
Taurus and Libra, Venus is saying, how might I also share my bounty with someone else?
How do we negotiate?
Not go steal it. Yeah, not go steal it. Not be arrogant and say, you've got food, so you owe me. No, I don't. Stop it. Don't come at me with violence. So we've also got to be able, Aries, the good side of Aries and Libra, by the way, is also about setting appropriate boundaries.
Mm-hmm. 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 Yeah.
And I think
and that's
when we do this,
that's one way that we show up better.
Yeah, and I think that's especially important right now for the cardinal signs. So as we go into the signs, I will tell you, if you're a Libra, a strong Libra influence, a strong Aries influence, a strong Cancerian, or a strong Capricornian influence, this is a very good teaching cycle for self to self, as well as you to others, to that family member that you tend to avoid. Instead of setting a boundary, this is that time to start practicing your own skill sets of starting to set boundaries. Are they going to buck up on you? Yeah, because you never checked them and put them in their place before. And maybe they'll say, well, who the hell do you think you are? Or maybe they'll reject you. There may be some consequences as they try to bully or dominate you, of like, well, I've always been the dominant brother or sister. Who the hell are you to tell me to be quiet or do this? Okay, so you're shifting out of that old skin. You're coming out of that cocoon. The little chicks are pecking out of the eggs. The birds are pecking out of their shells. And the snakes are coming out of their dens. And some snakes have to peck out of shells too. So we've got to come out of the shelter of our existence and the versions of ourselves that no longer serve your higher good. And that takes work, and that takes responsibility. And to Nicole's word, you have to be compassionate with yourself, and you have to be accountable to yourself to say, okay, if you don't, if you're not going to change how your mom or your dad or your lover or your sister or your brother bullies you and criticizes you and embarrasses you in public, then shut up. Just shut up. Don't complain about it. Change it or shut up, because you must like something about it, because you're not changing it. And that's what I say to my clients. You still bitching about the same thing? I'm not going to listen to you bitch about the same thing. Either change it or take it as your lot in life. Don't use it as an excuse to wear out everybody else, making you a psychological or an energetic vampire, because you're not willing to change the very thing that you've been bitching about for the last 2 years, 3 years, lifetimes. I mean, come on, level up and change it. Get out of the same old story, period. How about that?
Well, Mary, I know you're always going to tell it like it is. and that's why everyone loves you.
Well, and I really do. I show up the way I am, as healthy, assertive, because and let me just validate this right now. Please don't ever think that I'm admitting to you, I absolutely do not think I know it all. I absolutely don't know it all about astrology or tarot or the fact that I'm a Reiki master or an animal telepath. I am so excited that I can always learn something new every day from someone. I love the surprises of that. And when I'm working with you, do I think I know everything about you or everything that's best for you? No. But I'm that kind of soul coach. I'm that kind of energetic frequency shaman that's going to say to you, okay, you're stuck here. And there's got to be somebody in your life that gives a damn enough about you to say you're going over the same old ground again and again, and you're numbing yourself, and you're being in denial, and you're becoming an escape artist, and you're getting into a pity party, which, cycling all the way back to Nicole's point of the Celestine Prophecy, the 9 insights and the 4 control dramas. That's your homework for Aries Libra, because it teaches you how to be better in a relationship, and it teaches you which one of those 4 main control dramas, which means how we get attention for ourselves. Are you an interrogator? Are you an intimidator? Are you a poor me? Or are you aloof? That's how we act when someone starts to over-dominate us or make us feel vulnerable. So if you'll just do that homework before we come back on the next full moon, the Buddha moon in Scorpio in mid-May. I love that moon. And by the way, a lunar eclipse after our solar eclipse that comes up in the 3rd week of April. So we're going to have, we've got some intensity. I'm not going to lie to you. These are very intense times. The first opening front piece of 2023 is intense, but it has a specificity to it. It's specific for helping us be able to get out from under our own self-undoing. So where we're, in our own way, where we're creating the very nemesis that we complain about on a continual basis, 2023 is a magical, wonderful, alchemical magic carpet ride to stop the same old, same old. So you're not going to be as boring, and you're not going to be bored if you'll just simply accept the challenge that a light just got lit on, a light just turned on. There's a candle flame for you. There's a sage stick that's burning. The ceremony of the heavens is saying to you, I got you. I got you. Go ahead and trust yourself and do the work. Libra's going to help you balance the whole thing out. Just accept the challenge. And we're up for it, Nicole. We're up for it. We're done with this last 3 years bullshit of 2020. We're done with it. So it made us better warriors. It taught us so many important things about ourselves that we needed to get pushed. We got pushed back. We got slammed back. We got bullied. But you know what? It taught us, hey, I overcame that fear. And I'm not, just because somebody judged me, I'm not going to judge them. I'm coming out of this leaner and cleaner. I'm paying a little bit more attention to nutrition. I'm paying a lot more attention to how I treat others and how I let myself be treated. Yeah, there's that. So I think the pushback in our generation going through this whole world crisis virus of negativity in many different forms is telling us, don't show up and be a virus to somebody, and don't accept somebody else's viral load. Just don't do it. Just don't do it. Just don't play the game. Get out of it. Disengage.
Well, and even just this idea of being the virus, and when you come into awakening, like, don't impose your beliefs, your all this, try to inject it into someone else, and thinking that they're going to take that on and become it.
Perfect word. I love that you use the word injection. What type of injection or shot in the dark or poison dart, as I said earlier, what's your target? What's the bullseye? And don't accept anybody else's injection of negativity or opinion. You didn't come through a birth canal dependent on somebody else's opinion or somebody else's approval of you or disapproval of you. It's time for you to take all that and push that away. That's the old skin, the old cocoon we're stepping out of, and say, I am to be held accountable to me and my God, my beloved creator, the light. I have to choose between the light and the dark, for we wrestle not against just men and women, but principalities and orders and dominions of spirit. Get to know Pluto. Get to know, plug in, recharge your cellular nature to the frequencies of light and the empowerment and the canopy of the heavens. Get in touch with your spiritual anchor. When the boat's got to anchor, when we're on these relationships, what recharges your soul? Where is the harbor of harmony for you? Sometimes when you're just in the city and you go out with some friends on a boat, you go into the little dock and you get out and you have drinks and you have a hamburger and you have a good time. You get back on the boat, you watch the sunset, and it was just a great day on water and land. And that's what we're in right now. Taurus is the land. Aquarius is the beautiful sunset and the sunrise and the stars over our head, the Aquarian, the heavens. And Pisces is that feel-good, energetic, emotional signature that's going on of like, oh, I feel so in harmony with both spirit and earth. And Mars in Cancer is saying, God, let yourself feel good. And Taurus is like, eat, manja, eat, be with your friends, have. It's about sensuality of this lifetime, not worrying about what could happen next. That's the injection of fear, and it's not the right type. It's not a nutrient at all. It's draining you. It's like forgetting to take your charger with your cell phone, the things that we're so addicted to, you know? There's generations of people that don't have cell phones ever. And so with Pluto and Aquarius, yeah, I'm deliberately making myself leave my cell phone at home. When I go to lunch with a friend, I mean, everybody with you's got cell phones, right? If there needed to be an emergency call, I make mine stay at home on the kitchen table. Like, yeah, bitch, stay at home. I'm not plugged into you energetically right now.
Oh, I love it. I love it. So, okay, so we did the Libra Aries axis. What about the Taurus Scorpio?
Okay, so that's next. So let me just run through it real quick for people for our beginning little newbies in astrology. So if you're a Libra, this full moon is illuminating me, myself, and I. This full moon, Libras always like to be in tandem or with somebody. They like that best friend. They like that dining companion. They like to go meet somebody at the beach or to take the hike. So for Libra, it puts a spotlight on you, and the spotlight is mainly on how are your feelings, what would you next like to, if you were the writer, if you were the director, what would you like to navigate and direct into a better part of you into relationships, be it friend or lover or your persona at work? If you're a Virgo, the Libra vibration, this full moon is lighting up your attitude and how balanced or not you feel about your assets, your liabilities. What do you need to liquidate? What do you want to invest in? Like, is there something that maybe you could decide between this full moon of April 5th, 6th toward the eclipse new moon that's coming up over the 20th, 21st of April? What might you repair, sell, give away, declutter? If you're a Virgo, Libra is saying to you, where might your possessions, it's the second house thing, where might your possessions be weighing you down or keeping you from participating more emotionally with people that, you know, you're getting pissed off because it's just about home repairs and real estate and business stuff and the checks you got to write and the money you got to spend and going to the stores to buy lumber and windows and redo the bathroom and all that. If that's aggravating you and it's not a fun property or home improvement project, you know, try to look at the blessing of the fact that you're not homeless, that you can improve that apartment or that trailer or, you know, get the car repaired or whatever it is. So for Virgo right now, it's appreciate the fact that you can tangibly appreciate your assets, and then whatever is dragging your energy down as a material world liability, give it away, sell it, donate it, do what you need to do instead of it aggravating you all the time. If you're a Leo, this full moon's lighting up your third house, so it's the way you say it, it's how you listen, it's the words that you want to pause and use, and it's how others' words and others' ability to appreciate you and what they say back to you and sometimes what they don't say. It's all about the whole communications game when it's the third house. So it has a lot to do with also an energy emphasis on the whole story of this lifetime to do with your brothers or your sisters, the sibling thing. Maybe some more pronounced cousins, maybe an aunt, uncle, but usually the third house is more to do with those playmates we had as children as well as our actual neighborhood, like the close-in community is the third house kind of a thing. So at the full moon, if some neighbor is having a crisis or a hard time or they're being a little loud or you're a little concerned that you're hearing some arguing over there, you might make a phone call, not to them necessarily, and just say, maybe we need to do a welfare check or a wellness check or something that's going on. Or if you don't want to get involved because it's a repetitive thing, then don't bitch about it, don't complain about it. But be mindful, if you're a Leo, of your neighborhood, your actual living scenario, what's orbiting around your neighborhood, and do not, because it's a full moon, do not take risks with your safety. Again, I'll say, as I always say to my clients, do not second guess your first instinct, your first intuition. Pay attention to your intuition. It's your divining rod. If you're a Cancer, it's the fourth house. Full moon light up. I mean, Aries is hitting your 10th house and the Libra moon is hitting your fourth house. So it's time to decide, are you really happy with your domestic arrangement? Is there a parent or a child that's overreaching? Are they bullying you? Are they not paying attention to you? Is there a lack of respect among your family members or that whole family psychological dynamic? Maybe you need to disengage and Oh, let them miss you for a while. Stop being the one that problem solves all the time. Stop being the hero of the family or the one that gets frustrated or drained because you always go fix it for everybody else. Yeah, no is the answer to that for this full moon. Yeah, no. If you're a Gemini, it's fifth house. So the creative stimulus is there, the urge to travel, the urge to engage with other people that stimulate you mentally and psychologically. It can be pleasure, it can be play, it can be that just that lighthearted, fun happy hour or breakfast meetup. So you're going to find some new people that are a bit titillating in a social way, or in a, with a Gemini or a Sagittarius or an Aquarian, if you don't turn on their mind, there's not much else that's going to happen with the flow of sexuality. So you've got to, Geminis, they need good stories. They need to be able to have people listen to their stories, and then you find out if you're compatible with that sign. So with Gemini, I'd say the drag point for Gemini with this full moon might be that you're letting your offspring drag your mood down, like you're getting too pulled in to your children or your grandchildren's unnecessary drama. Unnecessary drama I define with they keep going to the same drawing table and making the same mistakes again and again and again. So don't enable them. Let them figure it out themselves without you solving it financially or psychologically. Don't run to save the day again and again and again. Let them figure out their own way. And if you're a Taurus, the full moon, there's all this Venusian energy around you, Taurus. So Mercury and Venus and the North Node in Taurus and Uranus, and then we have a Venus influenced full moon. So it's about a surge of wellness. I think if you're a Taurus, it's like you're really getting your mojo and your juju in alignment as far as I'm feeling good, I'm liking my skin products, I'm conditioning my hair, I'm adjusting what I'm eating and why I'm eating it, and it's okay if I have a cheat day every once in a while. If I'm really wanting to focus on holistic nutrition, it's okay if I give myself a couple of days a month to just go back and see how I feel about the fast food junkie or the chemicals that are in the potato chips instead of just ingredients like potatoes, Himalayan sea salt. It's like there's all kinds of potato chips out there, Taurus, but then there's the ones that you read the label and it's like, oh, good. They don't have all, 15 degrees, because 15 ingredients in it and degrees away from healthy. You can really take a moment, Taurus, and read those, Libra, and read those ingredients labels and go ahead and pick the potato chips that don't have 15 ingredients, and you can potatoes, sunflower oil, sea salt. Look at your oils and look at, if you want the taste of or make your own. If you want the taste of potato chips or French fries, try to look at what could not be in it, because that's what's going on with Taurus this month. It's got a lot to do with their 12th house. So it's psychologically embryonic. All of you Taurus are coming into your birthday season. So it's that month before your birth, and the full moon's hitting your 6th house. So it's like, how are you feeling energetically? I mean, do you want to walk less? Do you want to just take 5 minutes a day and prop your legs up against the wall for your circulation? Do you want to soak your feet in Epsom salts? Go ahead and condition your hair. Go ahead and do a nice exfoliating scrub on your body. Get a loofah pad. Go ahead and do some dry skin brushing. Do some things for the actual Earth temple, because you're coming into your spotlight time once we get to the 3rd week of April. So Taurus, go ahead and make some sweet moments and some nice self-nurturing for yourself. If you're an Aries, this full moon is all about who I love, what I love about them, what I could correct in myself to be able to have a more effective relationship with them by checking my own self. The Libra full moon is all about your intimacy. It's all about what you seek in a sexual, sensual, good friend, better relationships at work. It's all about how you're doing your part. And with Aries, I got to tell you, are you micromanaging your anger effectively enough? Because Aries, they get hot, they come in fast and furious, and their temper rages really quick. And by the time the other person's going, what the hell was that? Aries is already over it. They've just they've had their volcano moment. And the other person is like, ow, that kind of stung. I don't think I deserve that. So sometimes Aries, they just blow. The Aries part of our chart is where we'll be going, oh, who are you talking to? So all of us have Aries in our chart. So right now, the Aries spotlight is lit, no matter what the full moon's doing or the other planets are doing. The sun Our great star is lighting up Aries in our chart. So the way you learn yourself and you learn your chart is go dive into the Aries Libra part of your chart, because that's what, no matter what else is going on with all these planets, we're talking about. The Aries is the big spotlight, and the Libra moon's going, now let me show you the opposite of that and see how well you're doing. Let me go at cross purposes with that. You know, if you're all hot and you're all bothered and you're all, Aries is always about anger management. Always. Because it's the little temper tantrums that we throw, or the big temper tantrums that we throw, and how we try to hide that from who we're attracted to. Yeah. So Aries is about, how's your anger management doing? And if you're an Aries, yeah, you're going to see that reflected to you. Maybe your partner is blowing up on you right now. Maybe your partner is giving you a taste of your own essence. So check yourself, Aries. It might be time to, get some constructive anger instead of destructive, self-destructive anger. So if you're a Pisces, it's 8th house. Pisces, a lot of Pisces clients that I've been dealing with and talking with, and Virgos too, they're opposite signs. A lot of Pisces are kind of like, I know this sounds morbid, but I just got to tell you the way it is. A lot of Pisces are looking down the road at, could I die from this? What's my life worth? Am I gonna see this happen in my life before I die? Is it always gonna? So they're looking at their mortality, and they're like, Pisces kind of take things to emotional extremes sometimes. So we're looking at, a lot of Pisces I know, they're worried more about the disease. They're worried more about getting cancer. They're worried more about their reproductive organs, and that there's not even a problem presenting itself, but they're all like freaked out, and they're beginning to obsess over the fact of, but what if I got that and I died? Well, what about today? You don't have it. What about look in the mirror. Why are you stressing over something that hasn't manifested yet? Have you studied the law of attraction? Because the law of attraction isn't just those affirmations. It's that continual deposit you're making in your energy bank. And if you keep making deposits, then that keeps increasing the number of what's in your account if you keep making deposits. So maybe you want to make some withdrawals of negativity, like being afraid of something that hasn't even manifested yet. And I'll give you another example. Let's say you've got a scary medical report. Why not embrace doing some things allopathically and naturopathically to be able to overcome that hurdle or work through that lesson and that teaching, instead of just like, well, I'm going to get attention now because I have this disease or I have that disease, so I have to go to the hospital and I have to get treatment, and you need to kiss my ass. So yeah, I've met a lot of that too. So sometimes people, and that goes back to the Celestine Prophecy, sometimes people hold court, watch this, they hold court and they get applause and attention by being able to amplify what a victim they are. And so if they're in the wheelchair, they get to go first in the airport, and they get to go sit, the door gets open, and they're the head of the line. And this is going on unconsciously with them. Some people are well aware of it, but a lot of times the victim status, and that's whenever something's going through our 8th or our 12th house, sometimes we can, a really good friend or a life coach would say, so do you want me to call you a ambulance because you're whining all the time? Or are you going to take care of this? So there are those people, we've all met them. Maybe we've been that, to where it's like, I just want somebody to pet me and feel sorry for me because this is really tough right now. That's fine on occasion. It's not fine if you park your car and take up residence and feel sorry for me in a pity party. Yeah, no. Not anybody that loves you, they're not going to play pity party with you. So Pisces, snap out of it and get some resolutions and some solutions instead of expecting everybody else to clean your house, hold court, feel sorry for you. Yeah, I'm not doing it. And Saturn's in Pisces right now, so Saturn's saying, oh, okay, let's send you some tough life coaches because you've been wallowing in that and taking that pill a little too often. You're getting an opioid addiction. You're drinking too much. You're not facing the reality of like, yeah, that's a hard life lesson, but that doesn't mean you give into it. It is what it is. What kind of brave warrior are you going to be? Or are you just going to give up and die?
Oh, Pisces got the tough love from Mary today.
Because I want you to snap out of it. You're better than that. You're stronger than that. You're the most mystical sign that there is. So please, at least engage your angels or your spiritual writings, or go to your soul for your if you're thirsty and you're afraid, go to your soul for that quenching of that drink. And it's okay to say, God, help me. It's okay to say, angels, I give this to you. I put it on the altar. Come bless me. I'm scared of this illness. I'm scared of this affliction. I'm scared of the abuse. I'm addicted. I don't know what to do about it. Then pick up the phone and get some help. Go to a support group. Go to an addiction recovery group. Start getting the first steps in motion to where you're not just chained to the tragedy of it all, chained to the misery and the tragedy of it all. And I'm spending a little more time on Pisces because Saturn's in Pisces now. And it's a new envelope opening up for Pisces that you're going to have to get tough, like get tough on crime. We all see what's going on right now with the fact that there's not accountability and people are getting away with crimes that when we were kids, I would never just break into a business and burn it down. Oh my God. The business person is innocent. They didn't do anything to George Floyd or anybody else. They're just a business. The Walmart's just there. Why are they They just closed the Walmart because people broke in and just ravaged the whole thing. They just destroyed the whole store, not because they hated Walmart, just because they wanted to go throw a temper tantrum for the day. Yeah, that's the wrong use of energy. Yeah, that's called evil, and that's not called of the light. So don't participate in that, or shut up. Just shut up. I don't want to know you. If you're an Aquarius, it's your 9th house, so your dreams, your visions, your vision boards, your treasure mapping, the treasure map literally being dropped into your lap. You get the promotion. You actually leave one job because all of your hard work and all the rough and tough and people, playing political games with you, all of a sudden here comes your blessing. Saturn went out of Aquarius. So now Aquarius starts to get some blessings. And the fact that this full moon is in an air sign, Libra's saying, you know what? Just dessert time. Here's a dessert with the cherry and with the all-natural ice cream on top of it because you have busted your ass against adversity for the last 3 years. So Aquarians, bravo, job well done. You deserve the good karma, and it's here, and it's coming, and it's coming. Pluto in Aquarius isn't going to hurt Aquarius. They think out of the box, and they're future-minded, and they're unique and innovative, and they like a good revolution. Yeah, they're just looking for the cause to be a revolutionary radical with, because Aquarius is like, yeah, okay, I'll do that. I don't care. Oh, where are we going to go pick it? What are we going to do? So for Aquarius right now, relish in the fact that Saturn has gone out of your sign. Look at all the growth and look back to 2020 of all that you survived and what you lost and how you survived the losses that went down as well, be it relationship or animals or people that may have passed on. Look at how you had to travel over some bumpy paths and detours and things that you had to take, because 2023 is your blessing. It's your blessing. Your Capricorn, the energy right now is a 10th house kind of a thing with the full moon. So we're looking at authority figures. We're looking at the legal system. We're looking at the police. Don't speed. Don't get caught in a speed trap and get a ticket. Don't bow up. Don't just buck authority for the sake of bucking the rules and regulations and authority. Use the Libra moon to negotiate, be diplomatic, kind of come around with a creative way to get past an ordinance or a law or something that seems to be in the way of you getting that appraisal on your house or getting the better deal on a car that you want to buy. It's not a time to force your personality or your opinion. This is a time that if you're dealing with a salesman, play the salesman back. Again, that win-win focus is going to be better if you're a Capricorn. And if you're a Sagittarius, it's interesting. It's a play cycle. At Sagittarius, they like to be the court jester anyway. They love stimulating societal, political type of conversations, spiritual conversations. So Sagittarians, go to the retreat, sign up and go to the seminar, go to the meditation, go to the fire circle, get out there and meet some people that stroke you the right way, that has to do with philosophical and inspirational pursuits. This is that cycle to do that. So yeah, go buy that book or listen to that podcast or go get a reading or invest in something that levels you up and inspires you. It's intuitive, it's inspirational, and it's like you need a psychological, philosophical buzz. You need a buzz. So maybe for you that's mushrooms or DMT or a nice good buzz with your buddy and wine or beer, whatever that is, or hiking or camping for the weekend or fireside chats. But for Sagittarius, you need to disengage from society and seek out those people and those places that uplift your soul and inspire you. And then finally, last but not least, for Scorpio, it's the Libra moon is spiritually and psychologically, very mystical for you. It's your 12th house. So I'm not going to rule out the possibility that you might have a dream with an animal or a person that's passed on into spirit, and you get some really powerful insight or intuitive message, or like, whoa, I know my mom's okay now. Wow, that was my dad. And although I think about my dad or my mom or my dog or my grandmother or aunt or uncle or best friend that passed away too soon, as far as you were concerned, you're going to see them lit up. You're going to see them with the full glory of their soul majesty. And so it's not going to be reliving how they passed or the illness or the car crash or whatever that took them out. It's going to be like, wow, I just got the missing piece of the puzzle of who they really are in my life as a spiritual inspiration, not just the role they played in my earth existence. So Scorpios are extremely psychic right now. There's a lot of deep underpinnings of components, and things are coming together to where they literally understand that wasn't just a bird that landed on the tree that's landed on the tree 1,000 times before. That eagle, that ibis, that osprey, that bird that normally doesn't come down that low from its atmospheric comfort came down right in front of you to let you know, I'm your animal totem for the day. Look at me. So look me up and realize what I mean. There's a lot of signs and wonders and omens that are going on right now. I'd say especially for Scorpios and Taurus, because it's that, dynamic time before they come into their 12th house. They're coming out of the 12th house and the 6th house, coming into their spotlight and their 7th house. So I'd say mainly for Scorpios and Tauruses, there's a lot of mystical stuff taking place, and you'll not only be able to present intuitive, psychological, mystical resolutions for people, but there's also going to be the same coming back to you. Yeah, that's it. It's going to be the blessings of the lessons and the blessings as a teacher and attracting teachers that are very, very opportunity blessed for you.
I feel that one.
Bam.
I definitely feel that one. Yeah. Well, that was a very thorough. That was a thorough rundown of our full moon in Libra. That was amazing, Mary.
Thank you, honey. Thank you. You know me, I'm going to come to the table with receipt. I say this stuff 2 weeks before we ever present, because I'm that girl. I care about what I do, and I love what I do. I love what I do, and I love the opportunity to share it and blend with you, Nicole, and your beautiful audience, and build your listeners and build the tribe of light, because really that's why we do what we do.
Yeah. And again, for all of our listeners, this full moon is happening on midnight, 12:34 a.m. Eastern time. So for anyone Eastern or ahead of that, you're going to be experiencing this full moon on the 6th. But for those of you Central, Mountain, and Pacific, you'll be experiencing it on the 5th. So just remember, that's when we're having this full moon in Libra. Of course, do your full moon ceremonies, be ready to release, let go, illuminate something on the full moon, and start doing that a couple days ahead of time so that you're prepared and ready for the energies. Mary, if someone wants to work with you, maybe get a deeper read into, how this is all playing out for them, or what's kind of coming up for them in their life, if they want you to look at their chart, where can they find you?
On Facebook, you can find me at Cosmic Conditions, and my website is simply my name. It's Mary, Mary, Dusina, D as in divine, U, S as in spirit, I, N as in now, A, marydusina.com. And remember, this is a full moon, it's a pink full moon. So think about some of those old-fashioned sayings. How can you be in the pink? How can you be in the heart chakra? How can you be in the pink or really blooming and blossoming? The same day we plant the seed isn't the same day we're going to see the blossom or the fruit or the product of that crop. So just be content with feeling good and in harmony about what you want to be in the pink, or be positive, or be in pleasure or appreciating that you're creating in your life now. And just stay away, rebuke the negativity and the people that are like wanting to seize your mind and create battlefields within your consciousness of the fear porn, and you're not enough, and it's not enough, and there's something wrong with you. Don't buy into that. Be very cognizant with this Libra full moon about how You're investing your energy. What? You're allowing to come closer to you and be into the signature of your soul's orbit. This is you, and it's your life, and it's the expression of your soul, and you are important. You matter. You matter. Your life matters. Your participation matters, and there is no mortal on this planet that should ever have the power to tell you that you're less than or that you don't matter. It's Aries season. It's up to you to present the best version of yourself and be content with learning and teaching and the ability to show up and do that for yourself, with yourself, and who you come into connection with. There's always going to be doors that close, and there's always going to be doors that open. And Libra is telling you, it all matters. It all matters.
And this is the time to have the courage. This is the time, to go for it. Take a little risk. Take a little risk on yourself. And to the audience, another reason why you may want to book a session with Mary, or even myself, is we've got this full the new moon, a solar eclipse coming up in Aries, that we're heading into eclipse season. And of course, Mary will be back for our May 5th full moon lunar eclipse in Scorpio, one of your favorite moons, Mary. And we're going to be going into that. And the eclipses are big because they're going to forecast for some of you the next 3 to 6 months. And for some of you, even up to a year, you can kind of get an insight of like what's lining up for you. So it's a really good time to kind of maybe get someone to help you look at your chart, what's in store for you and all of that. And this is a powerful solar eclipse coming up in Aries. That is, making that beautiful square to Pluto. So there's a big transformational change. There's some big intensity coming with this, even on top of it already being eclipsed. So it's a good time to do that and have your chart looked at. And of course, guys, don't forget, like we were talking at the beginning, Saturn is in Pisces, and this is the time where spiritual teachers emerge, spiritual leaders emerge, new spiritual leaders, new spiritual teachers, and the ones who are there are also leveling up. This is a perfect time to really get serious about your spiritual journey, what you're learning. If you're ready to step out, whether it's in healing or spiritual evolvement, this is the time to really step out. So if there's anything that's kind of been calling you to evolve yourself in some way, to get those higher lessons, to take that deeper path and explore areas that you haven't explored yet, the next 3 years are the time to do it. While Saturn is in Pisces, you'll be blessed, you'll be helped, and you'll be very much, I want to say, satisfied, because there is a deep satisfaction that comes with Saturn in Pisces. So, guys, please, if you haven't already, Mary's here to help you. I'm here to help you. I love you guys. We'll see you next time for that full moon in Scorpio, won't we, Mary? I know you're going to bring the good ones for that.
Thank you all. Thank you all. And this really is a hallmark year for your spiritual and your psychological wellness. I just urge you all, trust your instincts of who the teachers are that come across your path. This is that year for you to get out there and participate and invest in yourself, because you'll bless anyone and everyone that comes around you as you go ahead and do that for the love of you.
Yes. Guys, I love you so much. Have an incredible full moon in Libra. Make sure you do your ceremonies, your rituals, and I will see you next week. Thanks again for joining me for another show on the Enlighten Up podcast. I love you guys so much for all of your continued support. So remember to raise your vibe, find your tribe, and be open to the infinite possibilities held in the mysteries that surround us all. Thanks again for sharing the show with your family and friends. And if you're new to the show and you need to find out more information about me, please head on over to my website, NicoleFrolick.com, where you can join my newsletter. And please follow me on Instagram, Telegram, and YouTube. Keep your light bright, and I'll see you next week.